So this is my updated 2022 uranium stock tier sheet list, 53 plus uranium stocks or so. I'm going to go over these stocks. My last video I did last year at the end of the year, it was actually very bad quality audio. I had some troubles with my microphone. So this one's going to be a lot better. Hit that like and subscribe button below. If you know my channel, I've been long uranium, very bullish uranium last couple of years. Some stocks have ran thousands of %. A lot of stocks, I sold out along the way. I sold out completely out of everything the beginning of April. I had hurt my back. I'd been day trading and swing trading about 3 months into the February, March, and April, and I did very well. So it was working for me. And a lot of the uranium stocks, I wasn't happy with how they were performing with the spot price running. And so I got lucky. I got pretty lucky. Saw the overall market. I didn't like what was going on. And I hurt my back and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to day trade and swing trade right now. I'll establish new positions because I believe the market was going lower. And it happened. 55%. A lot of these stocks dropped. And they're still not at their 52-week highs yet. But there are a lot of stocks. A lot of things have changed since the last video. So I'm going to show you all of these and what they mean. I'll explain really quickly what this top stuff means. And a lot of things have changed. My whole uranium plan has changed. And I'm going to let you guys know. And I'm still very bullish. Obviously, uranium, I think we're going to hit $75, $75 very soon. Spot price, like I said, is $51. So volume, self-explanatory. This is what the volume was today. Some of the stocks in Australia are trading right now, so it'll change possibly. And management. So management, that's what this is. This is the management number. I give them a score. If I don't know much about the management, it's going to be a pretty basic number. If it's bad, it's probably going to be a 2 or a 1. That goes with anything. If there's something, I'll probably talk about it a 2 or 1. If not, I'll probably go through it just briefly. Production time, that's another one. It's what I think the production time is going to be. The higher the number, the better. And this is going to be our first tier. This is the cream of the crop, purple. It's not just stocks necessarily that I'm looking to establish a position in. I give these numbers and very surprised sometimes at how they come out. Production time, media is the next one. How well their media, overall social media, how they update shareholders. This is going to be their exploration. Do they have exploration upside? And if it's a stock like, Centrus, they're not going to be exploring for uranium with enrichment, and I'll go over that. Jurisdiction, that's another thing. What's the jurisdiction? Do they have any issues there? Cost, this is going to be cost. I'm going to go over that for each of the stocks. What the cost is going to be. And then the financing, do they have probably issues financing? The value, the market cap, what is it right now? Is it undervalued? Do they have a lot of pounds? This is the pounds number. Then I give literally the millions of pounds that they actually have on every stock. Some stocks don't have it. And then I have the regular market cap, like I said over here. Red is anything high, billion plus. And then this is the mid-range, usually developers. And the bright green is going to are usually explorers. And there's some uranium stocks here, some that I've taken off the tier sheet. I don't even think that they need to be on yet right now. If you want access to this sheet, there's a link in the description below. In my Discord, I keep this and it's always updated. And you can see all the other stuff down here. The uranium sheet keeps everything. That's all in this. My exit strategy, spot uranium tracking, all that stuff's in here. The first stock, UEC. This is a stock that surprised the heck out of me. This stock has traded phenomenal, okay? I originally bought this stock like under 50 cents back in the day. I had sold out of it. Didn't like the management at the time, but the management has been getting very, very good in the last, 6 months plus. Very surprising, doing a lot of interviews. Now they do spend money, obviously, on this, but it is good. That's obviously going to make their social media go up one of the best. So management, very happy. They got a lot of the properties too. They got properties from Uranium One. So that is very positive. And this stock has just traded phenomenal, okay? Their production time. All of the pretty much US producers, I've given a very high value on production time because we're in a US renaissance. And like I said, this new uranium round, everything changed. I was very bullish on the stocks that were on the ASX that were in, say, Africa. I thought they were pretty safe. Production time is pretty good. Jurisdiction issues weren't too bad. But with this new round, with the war, the market dropping, I had to reevaluate everything. And I've done this, a lot of stuff's been in the last month and a half. So I've been establishing some long-term positions in new uranium stocks, but I'm mainly day and swing trading uranium stocks right now. I'll tell you in this video about stocks that I'm interested in. Doesn't mean I'm going to buy them. Doesn't mean I'm saying that I think anyone else should. This is just what I give the number for the stock. So this is, high tier, obviously. So production time's good for these. The media, very good. I've seen them do multiple interviews. The CEO's getting out there talking with the shareholders, and he replies. He follows me, which is kind of cool, and he replies back, which I like. Exploration, I give it a 3. I think M&As would be great for this company. There's some really good ones out there that they could add, but right now they need to concentrate on the properties they already have. So exploration, they somewhat have a good upside. Jurisdiction, really good with the U.S. New renaissance we've never really seen for uranium in the United States. The cost, I give it a 4. Cost and financing. Right now, the stock, has dropped. They have a pretty good cash position. They actually have spot uranium they bought, which is great. I don't think they'll have a problem getting financing. The value is a lot better too. That's why it's so high up here, because this stock, dropped 50% or so. And it's since, went up 20-30% in the past few weeks. Pounds, 154 million pounds. So I give it a 4. It's still very good. Market cap, only 1 billion. This stock could easily become a few billion market cap, pretty soon with uranium prices going up. We've seen how it traded over $6, $6.60 or so. The next one though, Energy Fuels, it's another really good one. I bought this under $1 as well. The volume is pretty good today. Not as big as it has been before. But we've seen management pretty good, about the same, I would say. It's about a 4. Production time, this is very similar. This stock trades very similar with UEC, but UEC, if you look at the chart, it actually trades usually higher percentage and a lower percentage. So that's why this one's a great one for me today in swing trade. I've done really well on. Same thing with Energy Fuels. They follow a lot. They also have a lot of REEs. They're well diversified. And this stock was, $11 plus, $6.50 right now. I think its value is pretty good here. Management, like I said, I'm not going to go over all of these numbers. If it's a 3, if it's a higher one, I'll probably go over it. And obviously, if it's in a higher tier, I'm going to go over it. But the production time is very similar to UEC. The media, pretty good on social media as well. Update shareholders. Jurisdiction, same thing. Very good in the United States. Cost, financing, and value. They don't have any debt. They got a good cash position. And I think that the 128 million pounds is sufficient, especially to get started. And $1 billion market cap, so good. This is the A tier. We'll call this the B tier. Centrus Energy. This stock has traded as high as $80-something. So it's down 6%. This stock is extremely, in my opinion, undervalued. It's all speculation that it's down, because the speculation was their contracting could be messed up from the war with Russia. And if we look at it, management's pretty good. I mean, the management, Dan, Poneman, all this stuff's off the top of my head. I know I try to know all this information for you guys. I live and breathe uranium. Now, Dan, he was a Department of Energy, so he's got a lot of good hookups in the government. Production time, I'm going to say production time with this specifically is, can they get new contracts? Is the Russian stuff going to mess them up? So it's dropped some. Management too, I wish they've been a little more vocal on the Russian stuff. Media's a 4. They have really good presentation. A lot of stuff I learned from them. Exploration upside, I think that it's just right in the middle there. With the jurisdiction, it's dropped too. That's why it used to be up here. The stock jurisdiction dropped because we don't really know right now with those contracts. I think, they do have an opportunity to get the contracting still from other, enrichment. They can still get it from other companies. You get it from France. But right now, and they do have those. Right now, a lot of it is 10x from Russia. So that is a liability if, the government didn't grant them, say, a waiver. So it's still up in the air. I think it's way oversold, sold off, went down to $17. I think the market cap was less than 200 or so. So it's since recovered a bunch. This, cost and financing, they're still a very low market cap for where it's going to go. The value with their contracts, they're bringing in so much money. They're bringing, with the market cap, they're almost bringing in almost $300 million in a year, rev. And, you know, they're going to do really good, the stock in the future, especially with HALEU when they get those contracts coming in. It's a very high value to me. I put 2,000 here. So if you look here, their order book is into 2026. So very good. I really like the stock. Cameco, we don't really got to say too much about it. Everyone knows this stock was really good. UEC and Cameco both hit 52-week highs in the last, like, what, 8 weeks, which is really very bullish for me, thinking, you know, that these stocks can hit new highs. So I do like that. They're the leaders in the sector. Today, management is pretty good. You know, obviously, you know, it's one of the biggest uranium stocks in the world, other than Kazatomprom. Very, very, you know, established. Production time, no doubt. They're not going to have any issues. For the most part, let's hope they, you know, they could have some issues with flooding. You never know. But media is really good. Exploration, you know, they're right in the middle there. Jurisdiction shouldn't have too many issues. Financing, that's where a lot of people have said that they're going to have trouble with the spot market going up. But their pounds, they have over 1 billion pounds. Right now, the market cap, I still think it's the one that's not down very much. It's actually down 23% from its 52-week high. You got to give it the respect it needs. So it's going to be up in this B tier. Ur Energy is one I think that Peninsula should merge with. Maybe even it'll probably see an M&A, I think, in the future. I'm going to start to just hit on the highs now. So the 5, I think the production time is good in the jurisdiction in America, obviously. They got 41 million pounds. The market cap's still pretty low. Still sees, you know, pretty good volume, and it's over $1, so that's not too bad. So this is Vimy and DPLO. This was a lot higher. It's since dropped. For the most part, the value, I think, is very good for both of these stocks. For the market cap that's going to be, it's going to be very undervalued here. 389 million pounds. Still safe jurisdiction as well, and multi-jurisdiction. And Australia is starting to churn a little bit towards looking at nuclear. They obviously have nuclear submarines, but they only have one, like, research reactor. Anything changed on that? This is another one to still going to be on the lookout there. The DPLO, I really wish, I think this stock would be well over $1.50 plus if they did a New York Stock Exchange listing. Very disappointed. That's another reason I'm not in the stock right now. I wish that they would do that. I like liquidity. I like to be able to trade on the US markets. I like that exposure. We don't have that yet. In the next month, July, they should close with this merger with Vimy. It's going to be a rock star, you know, developer if they get into production. Encore is another one I bought at literally nothing, and it was one of my highest percentage runners. I had sold out pretty early. There were people shorting it. It's got a 29. It's since dropped in some areas. It's still a jurisdiction 5 in the US, 112 million pounds. I still think that it's so hard for me to rebuy this stock when I bought it. Literally, I think, if you see here, but it was at like 10 cents, but I had bought it, I think, actually a little bit less. So under 10 cents, and the stock had, you know, the stock had ran up like crazy high. Still, I mean, I'm a little worried. I think there's other things more. 112 million is still not bad. Longer term, I think, could go a little bit higher. We'll see, though. A lot of shareholders like the stock. Peninsula, this is a stock that I've been a diehard fan of. Things that I've dropped down the media and the exploration upside, they don't have a very good exploration upside. They need to do M&As, and that's just something that I've not liked when companies don't do M&As. I think the great jurisdiction, I think it's pretty undervalued. 54 million pounds, they don't have enough yet. That's why the market, they're starting to dilute. You know, they were a serial diluter, 6 billion shares the last uranium bull market. To Fukushima, they obviously had to dilute to not be delisted. But they were, you know, way early during that time, way too early. I would say, you know what, that's probably too harsh. I would say the media is just probably a 3. I just would like to see a little bit more. So we'll bump them to the B tier. That's probably where it should be. But we're, you know, in this C tier here. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't establish a long-term position. It doesn't mean I'm going to establish a long-term position up here. I might day and swing trade, you know, stocks in any of these categories. Western Uranium, this is another one I bought really, you know, under like 50 cents. I think it was around 50 something cents. I'd sold out near a very good price. I think it was back in before September. So this stock, I just didn't like what they were doing with the warrants. I really like management, but their media, it was a skeleton crew, and I didn't like what was happening with the warrants. Jurisdiction's still good, 99 million pounds of uranium. Market cap's just almost too good to be true. So it's very valued, high valued. Paladin, they have a lot of shares. It's big market cap already. They obviously have a lot of uranium. I think the value's not really there. It's too many shares, too many sellers, like in their the ASX type 401ks, are they going to sell out, if we get a market downturn? Production time's pretty good, obviously. Fission 3.0, I think this pretty undervalued, $23 million for an exploration company, $23 million market cap, because they've got some great properties, good team. Cost and financing is going to be up there. Obviously, when you have no pounds, it's not good. Bannerman, this is one that's still in that C tier. It's traded well, but it has pulled back a bunch. I'd say this is pretty average. They do have a good amount of pounds. I think it got ahead of itself. The CEO's pretty well. He's a lawyer. People like him. So it is what it is. Baseload, their team has found a lot of uranium. They're getting really good drill results, right? And this stock has done pretty well. $63 million market cap for an explorer. But still, production time, obviously cost, financing. They need to get the pounds. It's going to be still a C tier. EL8 Elevate Uranium, same thing. $132 million market cap, but they do have pounds, $114 million. So it is pretty undervalued. I would say this is just about average. This is a stock that I think is probably going to do pretty well. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. This one, obviously, $2.8 billion. They've got, a lot of uranium, 55 million pounds. So obviously it's going to get the highest score there. Jurisdiction, I put a 1 here because they didn't get the New York Stock Exchange listing. Unfortunately, it is a PFIC, passive foreign investment company, which means higher tax liabilities for non-Canadian investors. Production time, management, all that's phenomenal, okay? This stock, this trust, this stock, I think will do well. I think, like I said, jurisdiction, not getting that, and the overall market, funds pulling, their investments, it might go down, some, and we've seen that, and it's obviously dropped some of the spot market as well when they couldn't completely raise and buy in pounds in the spot market. It's still a great stock, I think. I love the fact that you can buy uranium through them. I just wish that they had that New York Stock Exchange listing, so didn't get up high on there. Boss, this has 71 million pounds. It's a little overvalued in my opinion. I think that the projects are okay. The production time, I think they did that split. The stock price went up, and I think it just looks, just to stock investors, it's kind of overvalued, and the market cap is high. So we saw Amazon do a split. When the stock price obviously goes down, new investors come in thinking they're getting a deal. Same thing can happen in this way. They think that, it just kind of distorts the overall, when you see other uranium stocks trading way cheaper, like Elevate, 48 cents, sometimes it changes things up. That's why you see lower volume. Denison, okay, the infamous Denison. They've got 206 million pounds. They've got some of the JCU deal. It's $1 billion market cap. This stock has unfortunately not performed, as well as people would like. It went over $2 for a little bit, but it's still going to get pulled down from the overall market. Management needs to really get some things going. I think that they can. They've got some of the ISR projects that look very promising, Phoenix and up there, some really good projects. I really do think that, because this stock is the price it was, and because it is on the big boards, it can be manipulated sometimes. People are bailing pretty early. A lot of investors invested in it. We had record volume in that stock. So that's one of the reasons why it's probably not performed. People are bailing. A lot of investors that aren't really uranium investors that know the long-term picture. Another one here, Forum. We're getting down. We're still in this, C tier. Forum was one that I invested in. We saw newsletter writers tell people to sell literally for a specific price, which you're not supposed to do. The stock tanked for weeks and months on end. It looked like I spoke with management for a couple hours. It looked like a great stock. I invested in the stock. It went up. It did pretty well. Obviously, the stock is an explorer. Finding, uranium, they've got over 9 projects, and they've got a really good management team. So I thought it was really good at that part. I really did like. But the problem is, you get a lot of investors early, you get these newsletter. There were too many people coming into this stock, like newsletter writers that had left. There were other like YouTubers, newsletter writers, John Kaiser, big, following. These guys, I'm not saying they're bad, but I was starting to see people I'd never seen even in uranium stocks talking about this stock. I didn't want to be in it, especially when the market started really downturn back in April. I would rather buy the stock higher price after, they're drilling, later on, found something. I would rather pay higher price and kind of write it up from there. Same thing with Azincourt. It's around the same market cap as well. These stocks, I'd say pretty much about the same for the most part. Nothing that I hate about them. They're just kind of in that area. Fission, I do think Fission is overvalued. Yes, they have the highest uranium target, one of the highest out there, but I really doubt that they're going to get that uranium out of the ground in time. I think it's going to be very similar. They're going to miss it. I think they're going to have issues. 135 million pounds, $400 million market cap. This is held by a lot of big names, big talking heads in uranium have held this supposedly. Management's obviously really good. The media gets a lot of promotion, but the value, I think it's overvalued. I'd rode this stock for a while, and then I started to see they would capital raise, and these talking heads would just pretty much say that it's a great thing that they're doing this. And it's like, no, it's not always a great thing that they're diluting shareholders. They have to do it. The market downturns, this stock's going to move again, but I still think this market cap's, there's definitely other stocks out there that could find uranium in the same category that say like UEX, 119 million, they're, 150 million pounds of uranium. We'll talk about them in a minute though. GoVX, we've seen the stock get pulled back. Pretty average. It is undervalued for the most part, 202 million pounds. I held this stock before. I just didn't like really the way it traded. 92 Energy, it's a new one. Found some stuff, found some good deposits. Production time and cost. They need to get the pounds, stack those up, find some really big targets. It's going to be a long process. It's new management. I do like the management though. Vimy Resources, this one's going to be merging, so we don't really have to talk about this. They've got that pound. Just going to be going to deep yellow. UEX though, this is getting into the D tier, but this stock with new CEO would probably jump into B tier, maybe even better. I was invested in this stock before. My buddy Lewis Morgan was owned 2% of the company, still does. Didn't get a call back from management. We called investor relations. Never got a call back, never got an email, nothing. It's ridiculous. He owns 2% of the company, okay? And he didn't get a call back either. And so I give up management at 2. I should probably give it a lower score, but it is what it is. Production time, media, not the best. Cost, it is going to obviously cost. They've got this uranium, it's going to cost. They're going to have to dilute to get this money to get the uranium out. They got the JCU deal, a lot of this. They got JVs with $119 million market cap, very undervalued. It's kind of crazy, all the projects they have. But management is everything. Yeah, you've got a board, but when the CEO is leading the company, that's why we see some of these down here where they're at. And I'll talk about those. UEX though, UEX still pretty undervalued. Maybe if management changes, I'll keep an eye on it. Some of these stocks, obviously in this range, we're in the D. I'll briefly go over them. Alligator, financing is going to be the thing. They got 47 million pounds, but the market cap's a little high. And obviously it's not trading on the big boards. None of these really are down here. Light bridges, but there are some things I want to say about a couple of these down here. Sky Harbor's another one, 7 million pounds. The market cap's pretty low, 56 million, but they don't have enough pounds yet. Production time as well. It's going to be here. Going to hit them. This is Mega Uranium. This is actually, I think, a PFIC. Now, because they have NextGen and they've Alligator, I think shares as well. $67 million market cap. It's pretty undervalued for the most part. I remember making a video on this. It was like a lot less than this still. So undervalued for the most part. Pretty basic. A lot of these are pretty average. Global Atomic, another one that's been held back. 166 million pounds. People are always talking about this stock as well. $359 million market cap. Consolidated Uranium, still around the same. These are pretty basic. 69 million pounds, $129 million market cap. Not really, nothing stands out to me Four Seas Metals, same thing. Management, I really don't know much about. 127 million pounds, $109 million market cap. So it's nothing bad. Lotus Resources, I held this way back in the day. It's done pretty well. 38 million pounds, $337 million market cap. Like I said, these are pretty average. Lightbridge is another one down here that is going to be, if it does get used in a lot of these, HALEU reactors and the fuel rods, they're going to do well, but they're still going to have to dilute shareholders. $58 million market cap, still small. And by pounds, I mean, obviously, they're still going to get this stuff out there. These fuel rods, it's cost financing. It's going to cost a lot. Standard Uranium, this $9 million market cap, they've failed a lot in a sense on a lot of their drilling, cost, financing, production time, all going to be there. I do like the media though. I like the management. They give out hats, they freaking give you a hat. No other uranium company does that. I think the media is good. I like that they update shareholders. I just wish that they had found something like Fission had found, right? And they could still. The stock's there was a lot of pumpers out there in this stock. A lot of people, talking heads in uranium, talking about this stock. And unfortunately, they pretty much have sold out. And a lot of, bad mouthing the stock now. I don't want to badmouth the stock. It's unfortunate for the stock to be down. The CEO, is a pretty nice guy. But it's still in the D tier. ACAP Energy, 191 million pounds. Still got to get those pounds out. I don't know. I don't think this, when you get down to the market cap like this, under 100 million, it's going to be an issue. You don't hear much about these companies, especially in the US. Toro Energy, that's another one I had way back in the day for nothing, basically. 91 million pounds, $77 million market cap. A lot of these companies may never even get their pounds out of the ground. Next Gen, you're saying, why is a multi-billion dollar, with 338 million pounds, why is it way down here? I think the stock is extremely overvalued. This stock will be the stock that ends the bull market too. If this 338 million pound, comes out of the ground, they actually get it out of the ground. 2027 is like when they think they're going to get it. I think it's overvalued. I think this stock should not be trading at where it's at, market cap wise. It's obviously on the big boards. People trade it, and it's has long-term investors in it. But I don't think it should be there. Same thing down here. ISO, 8 million pounds, $336 million market cap. Don't really think production times and value and their pounds. It's too low for me. I really don't necessarily, I'm not really a fan of too much of the company right now at this point. Same thing with Canalaska. Production time, costs, no pounds, low market cap. They're going to dilute. PurePoint, same thing, 27 million market cap, costs and financing, no pounds. It's going to be rough. Same thing, Ur Energy. They've got 12 million pounds, but their market cap's 100 million. Like, where are you going to go? Like, Valor, 44 million pounds, $46 million market cap. Their production time, though, and their media, I don't really see enough. Appia, their media as well, cost and financing, it scores low for me. And they do have 56 million pounds, $37 million market cap. It is okay. Laramide, I don't like the jurisdiction for the most part. It's, some of the properties specifically in the States, I don't really care for too much. 123 million pounds. But the market cap is somewhat low, but they're going to have to do financing and exploration. Its upside's pretty low. In Blue Sky, like I said, we're getting into now the F tier. Blue Sky, nothing really stands out to me with the media, production time, their jurisdiction, financing, no pounds, yet their market cap's 33 million. Not a fan. Anfield, I was a fan of this. Their projects at the time, beginning of last year, the mill, I think the stock was less than this though. It's still up a little from there. It was probably around this. But their management has failed, in my opinion. I don't like the warrants, restructuring the warrants lower, diluting, selling out the management. Media exploration, not enough. They were supposed to be a company, an M&A company. Didn't see any of that happening. Obviously, their projects, 29 million pounds of uranium. It's not wanted right now. The mill's not wanted. I figured it would be when the uranium prices went higher. It wasn't so far. Cost and financing is going to be big there. For the pounds in the mill, 28 million pounds. I think the value's there, but these things need to go up for it to go up. Axle Resources. This is something that has changed. Production time, media, they need to get things up. This is a company that's set in purgatory for a while. Financing, costs, pounds are going to need everything. But really the value, $8 million market cap, you know, the management is, there is management there. It's not skeleton crew. I think this could go up very quickly. I like to sometimes gamble in these type of stocks. We'll see how things go with this. You know, with the next run in uranium, these type of stocks sometimes will move like crazy when we get to 52-week highs. But these are the uranium stocks. Now, I've talked in the last video about my exit strategy, my long-term trading in uranium, what I do, and right now I've been swing and day trading. So day trading, swing trading, uranium. Long-term trading though, I'm looking to establish more long-term positions. I have established some. You can see in the link in the description below, and I'll talk about those in my Discord. You can see what I'm long-term I'm buying. It could be anywhere on that tier sheet, by the way. But that's the highest compounding returns. But when the market drops, those compounding returns can be, like I said in the last video, 500% drop in the gains if it's 1,000% gains in Energy Fuels from $1 to 10, you know, down to $5 again. I don't want that. You know, $100,000 like that I had put in that would have been a $500,000 loss. So I sold out way, you know, sooner than that. So, but long term with the, from here, I can be very comfortable in some ways in some of these stocks. Long term, if the price of uranium goes up to new highs, or not if, but when. And I'm not going to look at that necessarily portfolio. Now, if the stock market crashes, we get World War III, something crazy happens, I'm going to have to obviously change some things up. But with spot price going up, we're at 51 right now. These uranium stocks I just went over, they're very likely to gain these gains back to new 52-week highs, which means, so it's dropped 50%, so it'd be 100% gain. You know, we're seeing 200+% here. Lost gain chart, so 70+%, 78 on forum, 70 plus, you know, 80% is 400% upside. So can we see a 350% upside on some of these? Very possible. We will see where that specifically takes us in the next month or so. If spot uranium can go over that, if spot actually does buy, I do have a caution uranium stocks. That's where we got over 100 uranium stocks plus now. Many of these are not good uranium stocks because they're just jumping on the bandwagon. Just like you know, we've seen this before in other sectors, especially we've seen in uranium. 400 plus uranium companies last time, you know, majority of them went out. 300, probably 50 went, you know, delisted. So that's my job. That's why I keep the uranium's stocks on here. I keep you guys updated in a tier sheet. This is not investment advice. You guys should do your own due diligence, but you can do that and keep track of it here with the uranium sheet. Link in the description below in my Discord. If you guys like these videos, hit the like and subscribe button. I did all this pretty much in a one take with minimal editing. I live and breathe the uranium. I'm very bullish on uranium. I'm looking to see these new 52-week highs hit, and 80 to 100% in a lot of these stocks running, I think is very possible. A lot of these, even the C and D tier, I might be looking at establishing. Let me know, do you guys have any of the stocks that I actually listed? Do you think I'm wrong in some of these? This could change every day. That's why I want you guys to check out the link in the description, because these might change every day. These literally can move around all the time. But is uranium going to hit a new high? Do you guys like these videos? Hit the like and subscribe button below. Leave me a comment in the comment section. And until